Hey everyone, on this F&F Q&A, we talk about confidence, second jobs, and a number of other questions. Check it out. Ask away, it's F&F Q&A. Hey everyone, welcome to this F&F Q&A episode 37. As always, I am Benjamin J, and I'm here to answer your Salon questions. We have a lot of really good questions, so we're going to keep the upfront here pretty short. It's pretty crazy to think that January is already over. I don't know what's happening. I think that now that we have the 2 salon locations for ourselves, my pace of life has picked up and things are flying by, which is really making me be more aware of having to be more planned out, more organized, and really thoughtful with planning. And I think that no matter if you have 1 location or 2 locations, the pace of life seems to be picking up for everybody nowadays. And so that's just something that I've become more aware of. In terms of education things that we have coming up, our next 2 classes are both men's focused. So we have 10 spots still available for our email class on March 6th. And we're down to only 7 spots available for our workshop with Sugar Skulls, Carlos Ramos, on April 10th. So if you guys are interested in those in Chicago, I'd highly recommend getting on our registration for those very soon. But I think other than that, we're here for questions, so let's answer some questions.
This owner says, how do you create a policy to make monthly meetings and education mandatory, especially when a stylist will need to come in on their days off?
This, I think, is a great question because I firmly believe in the mantra, have meetings or die. And the more communication that we can have as a team, the better that the team is going to be able to excel, and the more that they're going to be able to accomplish, and more that everyone is on the same page. Same thing with education, right? Especially if you're introducing a new product or a service and half the team knows about it, the other half doesn't, that's not going to be a very successful launch. My advice is actually, this works well because of what I was just saying about what I'm focusing on right now. In terms of organization, when we have our meetings and our education, we have had the same schedule for meetings for the past 3 years. So everybody knows in advance that every Saturday morning we have our powwow, that every 3 months we're going to have our one-on-one sit-downs where I can sit down and go over personal numbers with our stylists. Every 2 months, the last Friday of every 2 months is our town hall where the team is going to come together and we are going to go over these. Education changes a little bit. But we do still, at the beginning of the year, set up as much of that calendar as we possibly can. See, I understand that, as I said, life is busy, people have stuff going on, and while I do need and want people focused in the salon, life is here to enjoy, right? So people do have to schedule things with friends, family, they need that time off. But it's my responsibility to give them as much information in advance as possible so that they can plan around it. And with that, then comes the expectation that I'm asking for these days and that you will make yourself available for those days. So if you have a doctor's appointment that isn't an emergency that you need to schedule or those sort of life things, schedule them outside the time. In terms of needing somebody to come in on their day off, well, maybe this could be an opportunity to talk to that person about their schedule and say, we've decided that Fridays are going to be the best. I know that that's typically a day that you have off. We're going to need you in the salon on Fridays, and we're going to trade you Tuesdays or Wednesdays or whatever another day is, because you need that one day where everyone is going to be there. If that does not work for them, they still need to be as committed as everybody else on the team to be there. Just because you're part-time does not mean that you can have a part-time mentality. You have to have a full-time mindset. And so that has to become a necessity for people on your team.
The stylist says, I want to be behind the chair full time, but feel like I need a second job while I build a clientele. What's your advice?
I can completely understand the feeling of knowing that you need to build, but having the reality of our bills, right? Because while we are growing, it does become very difficult to necessarily live on what we're making. However, I firmly believe that when you want to do something and you want it to be very successful, you have to go all in on it. I don't think that a side hustle is really going to become something that becomes really profitable. I don't know if you're a fan of Shark Tank, but a lot of the times on that show, the sharks will point out that the entrepreneur is trying to do this on the side while still maintaining their full-time job until their new business takes off. And the reality is that it's not going to take off if it's a part-time thing. And so, as I said, I get it. It's hard. You might end up having to eat ramen noodles a lot more than what you really want to be eating ramen noodles. But sometimes that's what it takes. It takes the sacrifice of saying, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it as best that I can, and it will get there. In order for you to build, there are times where you have to be willing to put in the time, even when there isn't necessarily the demand. A few years ago, we extended our hours from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock in the salon. And for the first 6 months, it was often just Christian Awesome and myself sitting in the salon, but using that time then to plan what we wanted to do in the future. And so anytime we didn't have clients, we would then be working on education or working on our marketing. And so we still used that time to be productive. It wasn't a lot of revenue building at that time, but long term, it has ended up being much, much better for us. So my advice is go all in on the one that you want to make the priority. If hair is what you want to do, sink your teeth into it, do it 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours a week while you're getting started. And so then later on, you may not have to work as many hours. That said, if you really feel like you do need a second job, find something that does not conflict with the salon schedule. You know, maybe it's bartending at night, maybe it's doing overnights in retail, maybe it is a weekend thing on a Sunday or Monday that it doesn't conflict with the salon. And maybe it could be a social type of job where you get to meet a lot of new people and get to network somewhere in there. But go all in on the one that you think is going to be the best option for you in the long term.
This stylist said, I had a client that was so upset she wouldn't even let me finish the cut. I've never felt so low doing hair. While her hair will grow back, my confidence is nowhere near in sight. I've tried to move on and let it go, but it doesn't work. Do you have any advice?
This always is super unfortunate when this happens. You know, our mission is all about confidence. You know, by enhance people's lives, by building people's confidence, they're it's have better, more successful lifestyles. And so, in a situation where let's take it outside of a guest, right? Let's just say that it's anybody that cuts down your confidence on something that you want to do. That's not right, in my opinion. You know, nobody should react in that way. Without seeing the haircut, I'm going to say that this person just totally overreacted, and that you know, that they were outwardly rude in the situation. Sometimes it is hard to just let things go, you know, and when you have an emotional situation where like it's stuck in your head, it is hard to get over that. For me though, and I have had these situations too. I remember one of the worst ones was I cut somebody's bangs and like tears, and this was probably, it was within the first year that I was in the salon. You know, so like again, your confidence is kind of shaky already, and then this happens. So at that time, I had two options, and the options were I could either never do bangs on somebody again, which was my first thought, was I'll never do that haircut, and that'll be fine. I'll give it to somebody else and tell them that it's our bang specialist, or use it as fuel and motivation to figure out how to do them more confidently so that situation never came up again. With fear can go two ways. You can either use it as an opportunity to move ahead, or you can let it be the thing that holds you back. And so I would say in this situation, try and think back to what went wrong, or at least what went wrong in the guest's mind, and study and work hard and figure out how you can have the skill set to move past it. And that's really going to be, I think, your best bet in terms of moving on from this situation, is using this as an opportunity and that fear as fuel for you to get better and get stronger as a stylist.
This owner asks, how can I create revenue while doing events? I don't want to feel like I'm pushing products while hosting a fundraising or charity event.
This is a great question, and I love this right now because as a salon, we are this year really focusing on event marketing. And the reason that we're getting into events is because the more that we can get people to interact with our brand, with the Hairloft brand, that are outside the realm of us just doing a cut or color, or outside the salon reality, I think that the more interesting we become as a place for people to come get an experience. In terms of how to create revenue, my feeling on most events that you do, especially a charity event, is that you are planning for long-term revenue versus short-term revenue. And so the goal here is that we are going to get somebody that wants to come to the salon. They meet us. Maybe we get $0. Maybe it even means that we invested money and got, I don't know, champagne or hors d'oeuvres for people. And the goal is to get them to come back for future reservations, not just today. So I would say, especially when doing a charity event, don't turn it into a product push. Set up a different event for that. Set up an event where the night is about coming in and getting your hair styled, and then hope that they purchase everything that you showed them how to use. But I would completely agree that while hosting a charity event, it can come across as being in bad taste. Our biggest event of the year is our Bachelorette auction, which we're going to be doing in April. And we don't talk hair or product or reservations at all during that event, but it is a big tool for us to recruit new people because they see how fun we are. So, guys, this was F&F Q&A 37, right? We added the Facebook component. I hope that everybody enjoyed. And keep hanging out with us. You can follow me online. I'm Benjamin J. And follow Form and Function online as well. And we'll see you on the next episode.